From Nick Castellanos' back-to-back multi-homer games that stunned everyone, to the Texas Rangers finally winning the World Series for the first time in franchise history, these are the top 5 moments of the 2023 Major League Baseball playoffs. For sports to be exciting, there needs to be crazy moments, and what Casty did in the 2023 NLDS was the perfect example of one of those moments. The Philadelphia Phillies outfielder Nick Castellanos is one of them, and if you didn't think that before, you have no choice but to think that after he made MLB Postseason history. It all started in Game 3 of the series. Nick chose to show no mercy, specifically to Spencer Strider. With the Phillies trailing the Atlanta Braves, the Phillies were in need of something big to get them going. And that's when Casty hit Strider's slider with so much force that it went deep into left field for a monumental home run, making everyone jump off their seats. The home run itself was tough, but the bat flip from him right after was just cold-blooded. Then, when the Phillies were up by 1, Castellanos chose to torment Strider some more as he whacked the hell out of another pitch, giving him his second homer of the game. His first one went 404 feet away, but this one was even bigger as it traveled 415 feet. Then, in Game 1, he picked up right where he left off. The Braves were once again up by 1, and it was Casty who brought the Phillies right back into the game in the 4th inning with a monumental home run that traveled 373 feet. But he wasn't done yet because he scored another home run during his next at-bat in the 6th, making history as he became the first player to record consecutive multi-home run games in the postseason. What's even crazier is the fact that he hadn't hit a postseason homer since 2014, and 9 years later he went out there and casually hit 4 of them across 2 games. There's nothing more exciting than a player hitting a lot of home runs, especially if it is a big one that wins your team a playoff game. And that's exactly what the man himself, Jose Altuve, did to win Game 5 of the ALCS. With the series tied at 2 games apiece, the Houston Astros were down by 2 runs in the 9th inning, so they needed a miracle to win the game. Thankfully for them, they had a beast like Altuve, but their win didn't come without some suspense. Once Jose came on strike, everyone knew something special was going to happen. But Leclerc started things off with a perfect pitch. Unfortunately for him though, on the very next pitch, Altuve hit a 3-run homer to give Houston a 1-run lead in the 9th, which won them the game. This was Jose's 26th postseason homer, which ranks 2nd all-time, just behind Manny Ramirez's 29 home runs. That just goes to show how clutch he is. Whenever his name gets called up, he delivers, no matter how bright the lights are. Players like that are what make baseball exciting to watch. The Astros manager, Dusty Baker, said it best. He's got a high concentration level, because that's what it takes in big moments like that. Concentration, desire, and relaxation all encompassed into one. He then went on to say that not everyone can do all 3 things, like Altuve, before adding that he's one of the baddest dudes he's ever seen. And that's saying something since he's seen some greats. Leclerc was obviously pissed at allowing Altuve to take the lead, but I can assure you that what happened to him wasn't nearly as bad as what happened to Clayton Kershaw. Game 1 of the NLDS started off with a ton of action as the Arizona Diamondbacks made an absolute fool out of Clayton Kershaw and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kershaw was so terrible in this game that he gave up 6 runs, 6 hits, and 1 homer in the 1st inning. That's just terrible. But at this point, can you expect anything less from the man who consistently chokes in the postseason? After the Diamondbacks went up by 2 runs, their catcher Gabriel Moreno hit a 3-run homer off Kershaw to give Arizona a 5-0 lead, and to add some salt to Clayton's wounds, he hit him with a savage bat flip. The lead was then extended to 6-0 after Evan Longoria's RBI, making it one of the most disastrous starts that Kershaw and the Dodgers could have asked for. Clayton played so horribly that this was his shortest start of his career, including both the regular season and the playoffs. There was so much action in the 1st inning alone, so if you're an Arizona fan, I'm sure you were celebrating like crazy. But if you're a Dodgers fan, all I can say is, I'm sorry. The game ended with a score of 11-2 while Kershaw was left beyond frustrated. And I can understand why. Only 3 other pitchers in Major League Baseball's postseason history have allowed as many runs in such a short period of time. It may have been super embarrassing for him, but for D-backs fans, it was a dream start. Though the D-backs didn't have luck on their side all postseason long. In fact, it was their opponents in the World Series, the Texas Rangers, that had the baseball gods on their side. After all, just look at what Adolis Garcia pulled off in Game 1 of the World Series. The Rangers' right fielder set the MLB world on fire with his heroics, and if you weren't a fan of him before, you'd be one after his legendary performance. Just 5 days after being announced as ALCS MVP, Garcia wanted to show everyone that he can keep up the fantastic play even when it matters the most. With the score tied at 5 runs apiece in the 11th inning, Rangers fans looked on anxiously as they were dying to have their team take the series lead. After Castro threw a bunch of pitches, Garcia finally let his hands loose and whacked a super clutch walk-off home run to secure Game 1 of the World Series for Texas. The second the ball went into the crowd, everyone in attendance jumped and yelled in excitement as their prayers were answered. It was his 8th homer of the postseason, but this one was one for the ages and one that won't ever be forgotten. The celebration started soon after, and it honestly felt like a scene straight out of a movie. Aside from the crowd going crazy, those watching at home could not contain their excitement and took to social media to express how amazed they were by Adolis's performance. With that homer, he proved that he's the real deal and is ready for prime time. Now, before we move on to the best moment of the 2023 postseason, we're going to have to give an honorable mention to the D-backs for what they did to the Dodgers in Game 3 of the NLDS. After the beating they put on LA in Game 1, they made them even dirtier in Game 3. But this time it was Lance Lynn rather than Kershaw who was made to look like a fool. You see, the Diamondbacks were so in their element against the Dodgers that they hit 4 home runs in the very same inning as they did in the 3rd. And to make matters even better for Arizona, they're the first team to ever achieve such a feat, which makes it all the more impressive. The first one came from Geraldo Perdomo, then Ketel Marte hit the 2nd, Christian Walker hit the 3rd, and Gabriel Moreno hit the 4th. Their homers gave Arizona a 4-0 lead, while LA was left in ruins. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. But the Diamondbacks were unstoppable during their 2023 postseason run. That is, until they met the Rangers in the World Series. Because when they faced off, it was the Rangers who won it all. The Rangers have been a franchise since 1961, but they only made it to the World Series twice before 2023. The first in 2010 when they were dominated by the San Francisco Giants, and the second in 2011 when they lost in 7 games to the Cardinals. But in 2023, led by Garcia's unreal walk-off homer in Game 1 of the World Series, it was clear that it was finally the Rangers' time to shine. But the next game was total domination from the D-backs as they destroyed the Rangers 9-1. At this point, it looked like we had ourselves an amazing series, but in the next 3 games, it was the Rangers who showed Arizona who's boss. Game 3 was close as Texas won 3-1 before winning Game 4 11-7. Then they closed the series out in Game 5, winning 5-0 and bringing the Rangers their first World Series win in franchise history, giving Texas something to cheer about and feel proud of. So, from the Texas Rangers finally getting their hands on a World Series win for the first time ever, to Nick Castellanos' back-to-back multi-homer games that left everyone in awe, the 2023 MLB postseason is proven to have many incredible moments.